So guys, the next concept of this chapter is that classification of accounts. So accounts can be classified into two ways. One is traditional approach, which is called as English approach, and it is also called as golden rule of accounting. It's called golden rule of accounting. So classification of account is nothing but we agreed that that every transaction will have two aspects. Every transaction will have two aspects. In that, one aspect will be debit aspect, another aspect will be credit aspect. So which means one account has to be debited and another account has to be credited. So we need to learn which should be debited and which should be credited. So basically this approach, the traditional approach and modern approach, will be guiding us by giving a set of rules which we have to follow, and on that basis we will be able to classify that which account should be debited and which account should be credited. So the first approach which we are going to study is called traditional approach, which is also known as English approach, and which is also known as golden rule of accounting. And the second approach is modern approach, which is called as accounting equation approach, and it is also called as American approach. So yes, you have to remember all the nicknames of these various approaches because they can question you in any manner. So the real name and the nickname, everything has to be completely remembered. So let's have a look at traditional approach. In traditional approach, accounts is classified into two broad categories. One is personal account, second is impersonal account. Okay, personal account is further classified into natural personal account, artificial personal account, and representative personal account. And impersonal is further classified into real account and nominal account. Right? So this is the classification which is given, but I will give you one classification which is slightly different than this. It is same, not much different, but this is how you have to remember. So let me do a diagram. This is traditional approach, which is also called as golden rule of accounting. Okay, so I'm just slightly changing the presentation. Rest all it's same. I'm just slightly changing the presentation, and this is the presentation which will help us to remember. So traditional approach is classified into three categories. One is personal account, PERSONAL, personal account. Second, it is real account, and the last one is nominal account. I've not done, or I'm not teaching anything different. So this is the basically three categories. Now what happens is, personal account is obviously personal account. This real and nominal account both put together is called as impersonal account. Right? So there is no need per se to remember impersonal account, because nowhere impersonal account will be questioned. So any account what you will classify will either be personal account, or it will be real account, or it will be nominal account. And the rule of debit and credit will be of personal account, real and nominal only. So basically this impersonal account, they are trying to only tell that impersonal account means something which is real account and nominal account. So this is how we have to remember. So any account you have to classify either it is personal account, real account, and nominal account. Now what happens is, personal account is further divided into three kinds. It is called as natural personal account. Second, it is called as artificial personal account. And third is representative, REPRESENTATIV, representative personal account. Right? These are the categories. So generally people will go personal account, then explain real account, then explain nominal account. Let me do a little reverse. I'll first go with nominal account because it is quite easy to understand and the application will be quite easy. Okay. Now, what is the ultimate motive of preparing the accounts? Two ultimate motive. Two ultimate objectives.
Record the transactions.
To know the profit and loss.
Ultimate, yes, to know the profit and loss.
Profit and loss.
I want to know the profit and loss. This is my first motive. And my second motive is to know the financial.
Financial.
These are the ultimate primary motive.
Position.
Primary motive. How do I find out my profit and loss? Can I say my
Income
profit and loss
minus
is found out
expense.
using trading and profit and loss statement, trading and profit and loss account I prepare, trading and profit and loss account I prepare. Using this, I found out my profit and loss. And how do I find financial position? Using balance sheet. Using balance sheet. Correct? So in trading and P&L account, what kind of accounts are recorded? Everything which is income in nature, any account which is in the nature of income, any account which is in the nature of gain, any account which is in the nature of expense, and any account which is in the nature of loss. So all these things. So now what happens is, whenever in any question, if you sense that this particular account is having the flavor of income, or if you feel that in any particular transaction the account is having the flavor of gain, or in any transaction if you feel the account has got the flavor of expense or loss, then the rule you will come across, and the account which you will choose is nominal account. If you want to know whether income, gain, expense, loss, whether I should debit or credit, the only one account which you look up to for solution is nominal account. You will not go to personal account, nor you'll go to real account. So can I say that any item or any account which is coming in trading and profit and loss account, I repeat, any item which is coming under trading and profit and loss account, for example, sale. Can I say sale is something got to do with income, purchase, expense? Say all these things, whenever is there given in the question, whenever in the question or in transaction we talk about sale, purchase, expense, if you are confused which rule or which account I should look for, whether I should look for personal account, real or nominal, the question is very clear. The only one go-to person, the go-to person will be nominal account. You will come and look forward for the rule which is given in nominal account. So what does nominal account says that? The rule is that debit all expenses and losses. So if in any transaction there is expenditure, if there is a flavor of expenditure or flavor of loss, then you will debit that item. So debit all expense and losses, credit all income bar gain. So if in any transaction, if you get the flavor of income or gain, then you should credit that particular account. So can we do one example? Goods sold to Ram. Goods sold to Ram for 20,000 rupees in cash. So first of all, is it a business financial transaction? Is this transaction happening in the course of business?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How do I decide? Very simple. Who is selling goods
Money
to
is
Ram? Can
involved.
I say that transaction means anything happening between business versus third party?
And third party.
So business is selling goods to Ram. So this is transaction. Second, money is involved. So it is a financial transaction. Third, it is happening in the business. It is happening in the course of business. So it is a business financial transaction. Point noted, sir. Having said that it is a business financial transaction, please tell me, is it a cash transaction or a credit transaction? When I am selling goods to Ram, Ram is paying cash or not? He's paying cash. It's a cash transaction. Done. Now please tell me, in this transaction, I told you that in every transaction, there'll be two aspects. One will be debit aspect, another will be credit aspect. So which two accounts are affected? Can somebody please tell me? Which
Sales
two
account
aspects?
and cash
Arm
account.
and cash.
Sales account and cash account.
Cash
Okay,
account.
I'll tell you why. So in this account, when I in this transaction, when I account, I need to take into consideration sale, because sale is giving the flavor of income, and income has to be recorded in my trading and profit and loss account. Do you agree with me? You cannot skip sale.
Yes.
In any transaction, sale is given. You cannot skip that the item. Second, why I'm not considering Ram? Because why I don't need to open Ram account? Because Ram is given money.
It is not in credit.
If any person is given the money, do I need to remember the name? For example, if I go to departmental store, if let's say if I'm having a departmental store, from morning till evening, how many customers will come to your shop? Can I say hundreds of customers?
Yes, sir.
And everybody in departmental store, the concept is they give the cash and only take the goods. Will you sit and remember and open the account for each and every customer? Is
No,
it
sir.
human beingly possible to sit and open? Because when I've received the cash, why the hell should I remember somebody's name? So I need to open Ram's account only when I sell goods to Ram on credit basis. Since I sold goods to Ram on cash basis, I don't need to remember Ram. I only need to remember cash, how much money is come. So sale is income. Cash means what? Cash is increasing. Money is coming inside. So if my money is increasing, tomorrow government will ask, why is your money increasing? So I need to give explanation. So when you account it today, tomorrow you can give explanation that, okay, because of sale to Ram, the cash is increasing. If your owner is asking you why the cash balance is increasing, you have to justify, no? So that justification is given through journal entry. So now do we agree that sale account is affected and cash account is affected? So two aspects. So either sale will be debited or credited, or cash will be debited or credited. Now we have to look at the rule. Now we have to look at the rule. Let's talk about sale. Sale is what? Sale is it income, expense, gain, loss, or is it asset and liability?
Income.
Income. So whenever I said you that if you come across any transaction, if you come across the flavor of income, the rule that you look up to will be what? Nominal account. So nominal account says that if you have anything of expenses, then debited. If you have anything of income, credited. So sale is income or expense? Sale is income or expense?
Income.
So credit
Income.
sale. So my
Credit.
sale will be credited. My sale will be credited. You getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So what I should do with cash, I'll explain you. Wait. So let's come to now real account. Let's come to real account. Real account says that if, okay, now before that, I'll come little bit above. We're talking about this, right? So ultimate motive of accounts is that you need to calculate a profit and loss and financial position. So I said you that any item which is coming in profit and loss account, the rule that you will follow will be nominal account rule. Nominal account. So wait, it's very clear. It is crystal clear for profit and loss item. Now let's come to financial position. Now for financial position, we prepare balance sheet. In balance sheet, what do we record? We record liabilities on the left side and assets on the right side. So if I have any, if in any transaction, if I have anything sort of liability or anything sort of asset, then which account I should look for? So let's talk about asset. So if you're coming across any transaction and in any account which is having the flavor of asset, tangible asset, then the rule that you look up for is real account. So tangible account means what? Anything which has got to do with asset. Real accounts are those accounts which are related to tangible or intangible assets of the firm, excluding debtors. Debtors is my asset. So if in any transaction, if there is a flavor of debtor, for debtor you will not apply real account. Apart from debtor, any other asset which is coming on the asset side, whether it is land, building, investment, plant and machinery, stock, cash in hand, anything, you will apply real account rule. So you will exclude two things. One, you will exclude debtor, and second also you will exclude what do you call
Credit.
bank. Creditor I'll exclude. Because real account the rule is applicable only for asset. Real account the rule is exclusively applicable only for assets. For liability you will not even look into real account. I repeat, for any liabilities you will never ever look into real account. So real account is exclusive for asset. But which asset? Only tangible and intangible asset, except debtor, bank, or any asset which is in the nature of human being. Because debtor, bank, human being, all this thing, the rule that we will apply is personal account. So real account rule is applied for which all people? All tangible assets and intangible assets. I can say all assets. Except debtor, bank, etc. So whenever I come across any transaction in which asset is involved, then the rule that I'll apply is real account. So what does real account says? Debit. What comes
And
in. Credit
what goes on?
what goes out.
Out.
This is a rule. So if in any transaction you come across tangible asset and intangible asset, then the rule that will look up to is real account. If any transaction you come across expense, loss, income, gain, the rule you look up to is nominal. Now let's continue the question what we were doing. Goods sold to Ram. So cash. So we completed sale. What is cash? Can I say cash is asset? So for cash, can I apply the rule
Real account.
of real? So when you make the sale, when you keep on making the sale, is cash coming inside the business or going outside the business?
Inside the business.
Cash will come inside the business. If cash is coming inside, cash is coming in, then what you should do? Debit what comes
Debit.
in. So cash is
Comes
coming
in.
in, so cash will be debited.
Debit.
I said you that every transaction will have one debit and one credit. Comfortable? Second example.
Yes, sir.
Second example. Goods purchased from Sham for rupees 10,000 in cash. So which two accounts are affected? Which two accounts are affected?
But purchase account and
I
cash
need to
account.
be concerned about purchase account because purchase is my expense and I need to record expense in my trading and profit and loss account. I cannot ignore the expense. Sham, I don't need to
Purchase and
remember.
cash account.
Yes, Sham, I don't need to remember the name because I paid the money to Sham. If I did not pay the money to Sham, then I should remember, okay, yes, I need to pay money to Sham in future. Hence, I'll open Sham account. But here, I paid money to Sham. Why will I need to remember his name? So I'll be concerned about cash because cash is reducing. If tomorrow somebody asks me why is cash reduced, I need to explain. And this accounting entry will explain why cash is reduced. Are you able to understand how to select accounts? How to decide what is important? For goods, you never open account, guys. For the goods, you never open account. This is how you are eliminating one by one. Are you able to see how to eliminate certain items which will lead to confusion?
Yes, sir.
Yes. This is how you need to question yourself. So the two account that is affected is you said, sir, purchase account is affected. And second is cash account. Done, sir. Purchase account, can I say it is something which comes to trading and profit and loss account? It has got,
Yes, sir.
it has got a flavor of
Nominal
expense.
account.
Am I getting the flavor of expense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The
Nominal
rule I will
account.
look up to for flavor of expense is nominal. Nominal says that debit, if there is any flavor of expense, immediately debited account. So it has got the flavor of expense. So I will debit it. Perfect. And if I keep on purchasing goods, my cash will come inside the business or cash will go outside the business.
Outside the business.
It will go out. If it goes out, debit what comes in, credit what goes out. So cash is going out, so I'm giving a credit. I said you that every transaction will have one debit and equal and corresponding credit. Any difficulty in this?
No, sir.
Okay, so you have two approaches, guys. You might get confused, sir. Should I follow traditional approach or should I follow modern approach? If question is not mentioning any approach, you are free to choose whatever approach you want. But there could be certain questions which will explicitly say that you need to use traditional approach and you need to tell me what is debit and what is credit, and you'll also need to mention on what basis have you decided that is debit and credit. Then you have to mention, sir, since it is personal account, it is debit and credit. Since it is real account, it is debit and credit. Since it is nominal account, it is debit and credit. So we have questions like that. Don't worry, we'll do it. So can we complete this impersonal account? So real account, I have read it for you. Let's read nominal account. Accounts which relate to expense or which has got the flavor of expense, losses, gains,
Loss.
revenue, etc. are termed as nominal accounts. These are salary account. Can I say salary if I'm paying to my employee? It has got the flavor of expense.
Yes, sir.
Purchase has got the flavor of expense. Interest paid is got the flavor of expense. Sales account is got flavor of income. Commission received is got the flavor of income. So the net result of all nominal account is profit or loss. So all this thing, expense and loss, if I net it off, it means it is nominal account. So any account which has got the flavor of expense, loss, gain, income, the rule is debit all expense and losses, credit all incomes and gains. This is the rule. And for the real account, what is the rule? If any account has got the flavor of tangible asset, intangible assets, or any assets except debtors bank, then it is debit what comes in, credit what goes out. Any difficulty in remembering these rules, guys? Any difficulty, please?
No, sir.
Right, now let's understand personal account. Now we have to understand personal account. You have to be a little careful here. Things you might get little confused, but nothing to worry, we'll eventually understand it. So what did we understand, sir? If anything which is got to do with trading and profit and loss account, I will look up to nominal account. Anything which is got to do with tangible assets, intangible assets, except debtor in bank, it is real account. All the other accounts, what is other account? Liabilities. Anything which is got to do with liability plus debtor plus bank. The rule that you look up to is personal account, because liability we never apply nominal account, liability we never apply real account. So what is the account left? What is the rule left? The rule that is left for us is personal account. Are we clear that which rule has to be opted for which type of which nature of accounts or which type of accounts? So personal account. What is personal account? Account which relates to persons, that is individuals, firms, companies, debtor or creditor, etc. Personal account. My question to all of you: can I say person means human being? Then how come individuals? Okay, individual I can agree that human being. How can firm be person? How can company be person? How can debtor and creditor be person? Okay, debtor and creditor also I can understand. It is a person. But how is firm companies a personal account?
Artificial person.
What do you mean by artificial person? What do you mean by artificial person?
Created by law.
Exactly. So person is of two types. A person is of two kinds. One person is human being by nature, human by nature, and we call it as person, and we don't have any problem. Excuse me. Second is any form of body, any business entity. Today morning we studied business entity. Are you able to recollect what is business entity? Sole proprietorship business. Then we had partnership firm. Then we had company. Then we had LLP. Then we had trust. Then we had society.
Undivided.
Then we had Hindu undivided family, HUF. All these are business entity. All business entity by law has given the status that these are artificial person. These are person, but these are not natural person. This is artificial person. Whereas human by nature is called natural person. It is natural person because we are person by nature. So Indian government, Indian law has given the status that these business entity will be called artificial person. When law is told, do we have any problem in calling them as artificial person? So law is telling that please call them as artificial person. Okay. So account which relates to person, that is individual, firms, companies, debtor, creditor, etc. is personal account. Example of personal account are account of Ram and Co. Ram and Co is business name. A customer is a debtor, human being, or account of Jhaveri and Co. So all this thing, capital account, drawing, we'll discuss one by one. So okay, the main purpose of preparing the personal account is to determine the balance due to, how much balance should I pay to that person, or how due from that person or organization. The ultimate purpose of this personal account is to determine how much business has to pay them or how much business has to recover from them. From whom? From two people. One is natural personal account, one is artificial personal account. So what is natural personal account? The term natural personal means person who are creation of God. Can I say human being? Can I say human being? So if any interaction of any transaction is happening with human being directly, then it is natural personal account. Therefore, these will include account of individual names. For example, Ram, Asha is all creation of God. It is all creation of God. So it's called artificial person. Sorry, natural person. It's called natural person. What is artificial person? These accounts include account of corporate bodies, which means business entities, all the business entities. Okay. Any transaction which is happening by the business with another business entity, which means one party is our business and other party is other business entity. Then these business entities are called artificial person. These accounts include corporate bodies, which is company, or institutions which are recognized as person in business dealing. For example, account of limited company. I said company is classified into three types: one person company, private limited company, and limited company. So limited company is given as example. club, society. These are all the example of artificial person. So can I say in our example, all these are artificial person? All the business entities, all the business form of bodies is called artificial person. So the rule for them that is applicable, the rule that is applicable for them is debit the receiver, debit the receiver, credit the giver. This is the rule. I explained these two. I'm yet to explain a representative. So let me complete the example of natural and artificial person, and then I'll come back to the representative. So let me take one question. Goods sold to Ram for rupees 20,000. Goods that is sold to Ram, the worth of the goods is 20,000, the sale price is 20,000. Now please tell me which two accounts are affected. Which two accounts are affected? Goods I never prepare. Sale is obvious because I need to record my income. Next one.
Sale account and RAM account.
Why not cash account? Because nowhere in this transaction
It is not
mentioned that we have collected money from Ram. If nothing is mentioned about cash collection, then we assume that we have sold goods to Ram on credit. First of all, is it a business financial transaction? Yes, sir. This transaction is happening between business and Ram. So it is a transaction. Second, it involves 20,000 worth money. Third, it is happening in the course of business. So hence it is a business financial transaction. Point one, okay. Point two, is this a cash transaction or is it a credit transaction?
Credit.
It is a credit transaction because money is not paid by Ram. Having said this, we agree that, okay, sir, the two accounts that is affected is Ram and sale. So let's say that it is Ram account is affected and sale account is affected. Now please tell me one thing. Ram, what is Ram? Can I say Ram is a person? Account wise we call it as debtor.
Debtor.
Because Ram is my customer. If customer does not pay me the money, if he takes the good, if I sell to Ram on credit, which means I am expecting to receive. I'm expecting to receive, business is expecting to receive money from Ram in future. Can I say this 20,000 will be recovered in future? So can I say this asset? What is the name of this asset? The name of this asset is debtor. How do you classify Ram in accounts? We call it as debtor. Now please tell me the rule that you look up to for debtor. Is it nominal account? Will you apply nominal account?
No, sir.
No, because it's balance sheet item. So for balance sheet item, the two rules. For the balance sheet item, the two rules that is left is either it is personal or real. The rule that is applied. So for balance sheet items, so all the items which are in the balance sheet nature, it is real or personal. And all that thing which is related to trading in P&L is nominal account. All the accounts which comes in trading in P&L is the rule that we look up to is nominal. All the account that comes under balance sheet should be either using personal account rule or real account. So debtor is something which is coming under balance sheet. So either I should look for personal account or real account. Real account is exclusively told that debtor should be excluded. Real account is clearly told that please exclude debtor. So who is left for me last? Who is the final savior? Who is the final savior?
Personal account.
Personal account. Now, under personal account, since you decided it is personal account, please tell me whether it is natural personal account or artificial
Natural personal account.
Because Ram is a human being.
Well,
Business has sold good to Ram. Ram is a human being. So, Ram is the natural personal account. So, the rule is debit the receiver, credit the giver. Now, please tell me, Ram is the receiver or giver? Who is receiver and who is giver? You cannot tell, sir,
Ram's receiver.
See, we are coming from the perspective of Ram. Whether Ram is receiving or giving, you should not think that, giver or receiver means business is giving. No, we are accounting in business. So when we are accounting in business, we are doing accounting for business. We are not doing accounting of business. For is different, of is different. So we are doing accounting of Ram. So we have to see from Ram angle, whether he is the receiver or giver. So can I say Ram is the receiver? What is he receiving? Can I say Ram is receiving goods?
Goods.
So Ram is the receiver of goods. So debit Ram. So he is receiver. He is receiver. Hence debit Ram. Second, sale. Can I say it is an account which comes under trading and profit and loss account? Can I say it has got the flavor of income?
yes, sir.
So which rule I should look up for? Personal, real, or nominal?
Nominal.
Nominal.
Nominal, sir.
Says what? Debit all expense and losses, credit all incomes and gains. Sales has got the flavor of income, so I will credit
Credit.
sales. Any difficulty in this?
No, sir.
Okay, another example. Goods purchased from Reliance Limited for rupees 10,000. First of all, is it a business financial transaction?
Yes, sir.
It is a, yes, sir. This is a business financial transaction. Whether next
Yes,
it's a
sir.
cash transaction or a credit transaction.
Credit
Credit.
transaction.
Because when business is purchasing goods from Reliance Limited, business is not paid Reliance Limited. No information is given in the question about the payment. So it is a credit transaction. Having said this, which two accounts are affected? We never create account for goods. So obviously next is
Purchase account.
Purchase account and
Because
Reliance
Reliance Limited account.
purchase is my expense, so I need to record expense. So let me record purchase. Purchase is recorded. Reliance Limited.
Artificial.
What is Reliance Limited? Reliance
Artificial
Limited,
personal account.
so can I say Reliance Limited? So business have to pay to Reliance Limited in future? Can I say
Yes, sir.
business has to pay Reliance? So anything which I have to pay in future is called liability. So can I say Reliance Limited is liability for the business? It's liability for the business because business has to pay Reliance Limited of 10,000 rupees in future. Having said that, this is a liability. What is the kind of liability here? Which kind of liability? What is the name of the liability? What name will you give to this liability? What is the name of the liability?
Artificial
Uh-huh.
personal account.
Creditor. In balance sheet, did I ever teach you that you will artificial or natural? I'm telling you, in balance sheet, when you create liability, in balance sheet, when I open liability, when I record the liability, by what name I'll record 10,000? See, I need to record 10,000 because I need to pay. What will be the name of this person? You will not record Reliance Limited. You will record him as creditor.
Yes, sir. Creditor.
So Reliance Limited in accounts is technically called as creditor. The name of the liability which is given to this kind of people is creditor. So it is a liability. And please tell me, since you've decided it is a liability, having decided that this is a liability, will you go to nominal account for understanding the rule, or will you go to real account for getting the rule, or will you come to personal account? Will you come to personal account, real account, or nominal account? So very clear, sir. Anything which has got to do with liability, I have to come to personal account because nominal account has disowned me, real account has disowned me. They're not even taking care of me. So the only person who is taking care of me is personal account. Under the personal account, we have three categories: personal, natural, artificial, and representative. So what kind of person is Reliance? Is he a creation of God?
Artificial.
Artificial.
Is he a creation of God? No. He is a creation of human being. He is the creation of human being. So he's an artificial person. It is an artificial person. Any person which is a creation of God is a natural person. Any person who's a creation of human being. So Reliance Limited is a creation of human being. Mukesh Ambani sir has created this company. So hence it is an artificial person. So the artificial person, what is the rule? Debit the receiver, credit the giver. Now please tell me, Reliance Limited is the receiver or giver?
Giver.
He is giving what? Can I say is the giver of goods?
Yes, sir.
Creditor.
He is the giver of goods. So debit or credit?
Credit.
Credit. Excellent. Purchase is it's got the flavor of expenses. So debit all expense and losses.
Debit.
Any difficulty in this?
No, sir.
Easy? Okay. Now can we understand the meaning of representative? Representative will be slightly difficult at the moment to understand because there are certain points which I have not explained in that with regard to those accounts. So I'll just give a reading as of now. Just let's see what to do. These are accounts. Representative personal accounts are accounts which represent a certain person or a group of persons. For example, if rent is due to landlord, an outstanding rent account will be opened. So now you need to understand what is the meaning of outstanding. The outstanding rent account represents the amount of rent payable to landlord. Other examples are prepaid rent account, accrued and unearned. So basically what happens, guys, we have 4 extraordinary special cases. So I will discuss those special cases one by one now, with which you should get a complete clarity. These 4 cases will only come in representative. So what are the 4 cases? These are called 4 special cases. 4 special cases. The first special case is outstanding expense. Outstanding expense. So we'll understand what is the meaning of outstanding. Next we have prepaid expense. Third is accrued income. And the last one is unearned income. Unearned, EARNED, unearned income. So what is outstanding expense? What is the meaning of this? This means that expense incurred but not paid. Expense incurred but not paid. Now you need to understand what is expense. You know what is expense? Can I say expense is something which which we incur? It is a cost that is incurred to earn the revenue. It is not a loss. Loss is different. Expense is different. Expense means it is a cost that is incurred to earn an income. To earn income, I'm doing some expenditure. Now we have to understand what is the meaning of incur. So let me give you some example. Salary paid of rupees 10,000. So when I say salary, can I say salary is expense? Correct? Now, when does this expense arise? My question to you is, when does this expense arise? Can I say that when an employee works for the entire month? So this is, let's say, last month was July. So any employee who's working from 1st July to 31st July. Can I say an employee who works from 1st July to 31st July is a person who has given the service to the business. So business has to pay the money because you have taken the service of that employee. You have taken the service of that staff. Are you able to feel that what I'm asking? You have employed one staff who's coming and working for you from 1st July to 31st July. So can I say from 1st July to 31st July, you every day you kept on taking work from them? From 1st July to 31st July, every day you made that staff work. So can I say that staff has worked for the business? For the development of the business? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So as a result, since that person has worked for the entire 1 month, are you not under obligation to pay salary to that person? So this salary is called expense incurred. Expense is incurred when? Expense is incurred the moment the person is giving the service to you. If that person is given the service to you for the entire 1 month, which means your expense is incurred. Expense incurred is different. Expense paid is different. Expense paid is different. Expense incurred the moment that person has worked for you for entire 1 month, your expense is incurred, whether you paid or not. That is the meaning of expense incurred. In this case, what happened? Salary paid of 10,000 means expenses incurred plus expenses paid. Both has happened. Salary means expense incurred. Paid means what? I paid for the expense. Both has happened. Right? This is meaning of expense incurred and expense paid. Now, this is one example. Please note down. When I pay salary paid of 10,000 for July 2020. Expenses incurred. Salary means expense incurred. This portion is this, and this portion means this. Paid for 10,000. Paid of rupees 10,000 means expense paid. Now, next example. Salary for the month of July is 2020, but salary still not paid. which means today is what? Today is 2nd August. 2nd August, it is coming to our knowledge that a staff is worked for entire 1 month. From 1st July to 31st July is worked for entire month. So salary is paid, but till 31st July, salary is not paid. In this case, what is happening? Salary is paid on 31st July. In this case, what is happening is salary is not paid 31st July. If salary is not paid till 31st July, will you not do the accounting entry? In this case, what is accounting entry that you will do? Since you are paid the salary on 31st March, the entry is what? Salary is my expense. So normal account stated salary account should be debited because salary is my expense. So debit all expense and losses. To cash. Cash is credited because cash is going out. So this is debit and this is credit. Do you agree with me in the first question? Salary is debited, cash is credited because salary is expense, debit all expense and losses. Cash is going out. So credit what goes out. So this is happening on 31st itself. Now what is happening in this case? Till 31st July, on 31st July, the salary is not paid. The salary is not paid. This is 1st and this is 31st. Salary is not paid. If salary is not paid by 31st July, will you not record the accounting entry? Will you not record the accounting entry on 31st? Till 2nd August, the salary is not paid. Till 2nd August, salary is not paid. So this salary entry you're recording on 31st of July. You're recording this entry on 31st of July. Now today is 2nd August. 2nd August salary is incurred, which means what? The person is worked for you for entire month. So can I say in this case, this means that expense is incurred. What is expense incurred? Expense incurred means the moment the staff is working from 1st to 31st, it means expense is incurred. Can I say expense is incurred, but expense not paid till 31st July. Okay, now let's imagine if this is not July, if this is 31st March. Let's suppose this is 1st of April to 31st of March. So this is one entire accounting year and we have to close accounting by 31st March. Now my question to you, as on 31st March, you did not pay the salary. So will you not record the accounting entry or will you record? Just imagine this is 1st April to 31st March. This is entire 12 months. For entire 12 months, somebody's worked for you, but you've not made the payment. The moment that somebody is working for you, can I say your expense is incurred because you have the obligation to pay him the salary? But till 31st of March, you not paid the salary. If you not paid till 31st of March, will you not record the accounting entry? No, you cannot do that. So as on 31st March, you need to record the entry. So can I say salary? Salary, I will debit because salary is my expense. Salary is my expense. So I have to debit salary, debit all expense and losses. Credit, what you'll do? You cannot record cash because you have not paid. Expense is not paid. Expense is not paid. You cannot record cash. So I said you that every transaction will have one debit. So what is the opposite credit? What will you credit? Guys, are you all with me?
Sir.
You getting this point? In this
Yes,
case,
sir.
as on 31st July or 31st March, I paid the salary. So salary to cash, very conveniently I wrote it. But there are cases where till 31st March, the salary is not paid. Does that mean you will not record? No, you cannot do that because you've taken the service for entire 1 year. Your expense is incurred. The moment your expense is incurred, if you have utilized the service of some person, you need to record as that as expense in books of accounts. So the salary is debited. So credit is what? Can I say, since till 31st March, you've not paid the salary of 10,000 rupees, can I say this 10,000 salary will pay in the next year, upcoming year? Till 31st March, you've not paid. At least the next month, April onwards, you'll pay the salary. This salary of this month, the salary of this period, you will have to pay here. You'll have to pay here. So can I say as on 31st March, the salary of 10,000 rupees, is it not my liability? Because I need to pay that salary in future. The person, let's say Ram has worked from 1st April to 31st March. It is not possible that you will not pay salary. You will pay salary. But it is such a way that you're not paying on 31st March, you're paying on 3rd August. Tomorrow you'll pay. On 3rd August you'll pay. On 3rd August you pay. So is it possible that on 31st March I'll not record this? Not possible because this salary you have to record as expense in this year only. because it is the expense of this year. It is the expense of this period. So since you're paying on 3rd August or on, let's say, next month or next year, you cannot record expense of that in next year. You have to record the expense in the year in which it is incurred. You need to record the expense in the year in which it is incurred. So can I say the salary is incurred in the current year? This current year is 1920. And this is 2021. So the salary is incurred in 1920. So you have to record expense in 1920. Sir, if I record expense in 1920, I understand this is debit. But what is credit? Credit is outstanding salary. Outstanding salary means what? Salary payable. Salary payable means what? Liability. So you're recording the expense and you're recording the liability. Expense is recorded because salary is incurred. The expense is incurred. My obligation is there to pay. So can I say the person who's worked from April to March is helped me to earn revenue of April to March. So this period is worked for this entire period and he's helped me to earn the income of this period. Since income is earned in this period, expense also has to be booked in this period, whether the money is paid or not. I repeat that if in the current year, this is current year 1920 and the next year 2021. If Ram has worked in the entire year, can I say he's helping me to earn the income? So the accounting rule says that Ram has helped you to earn an income of 1 lakh rupees. Then in that case, Ram is the employee of you. So his salary is an expense. Let's say his salary is 20,000 rupees for the entire year. So this expense of 20,000 is incurred to earn this 1 lakh rupees of income. So in that case,
Yes.
expense has to be booked in 1920, whether you paid money to Ram or not. If you're paying money to Ram here, 20,000 rupees, it doesn't mean you'll account only here. You have to record the expense here because this is expense belonging to 1920. Expense means what? Anything which is incurred to earn this income. So if Ram has helped me to earn this income, his expense has to be booked whether you paid or not, whether you paid the money or not. So salary I'm recording in 1920 because Ram has helped me to earn the income of that year. Salary is debited. Since I did not pay the money now, since I'm paying the money next year, I need to create a liability. Outstanding salary means salary. Payable. Payable means what? Anything which I'll pay in future. So salary. So outstanding salary is that special case. Outstanding is a special case. And whenever you come across this word outstanding or salary payable, which means it is personal representative account. Debit the receiver, credit the giver. Debit the receiver, credit the giver. What rule apply here? Outstanding salary. What rule will apply here? Personal account says that debit the receiver, credit the giver. Yes? Debit the receiver, credit the giver. So what will I do? I'll credit outstanding salary. What is he giving? Can somebody tell me? What is he giving? Can I say service? Can I say Ram is giving the service? He is the giver of service.
Yes, sir.
So he is the giver of service. So credit outstanding salary. Credit outstanding salary. So salary account debit to outstanding salary. This is the special case. So what is outstanding salary? Outstanding salary is expense incurred, but amount still not paid. Amount still not paid. That is the meaning of outstanding salary. How do I incur my expense? The moment if I take the service of any person, the moment some person gives me the service, my expense is incurred. My liabilities arise. This is a special case, guys, and this is one of the toughest case which any student will feel. Rest all is easy. This is slightly tough. So this will require a lot of practice. So I'll be repeating this concept again n number of times in future. So even if you understand 20%, I'm okay. I don't expect you to understand too much in detail at this moment because there are a lot of other important things to be understood right now. So outstanding expense means expenses incurred, but amount not paid. Amount is not paid. So outstanding expenses. Prepaid expense means what? Expense not incurred. Expense not incurred, but amount paid in advance, which means expense is not incurred now, but the amount is paid in advance. What do you mean by this? So this is financial year 1920 and this is the financial year 2021. So I'm expecting to receive the service of RAM in 2021. RAM is going to give me service in 2021, but I'm so impressed with the RAM that I paid to RAM money now itself. For 2021, in advance, I paid the salary in advance in 1920. So can I say RAM is giving me the service in 2021? If RAM is giving the service in 2021, expense is incurred when? 1920 or 2021? When RAM is giving me the service in 2021, if RAM is the giver of service in 2021, so RAM expense has to be recorded in 1920 or 2021. When is expense incurred? Expense is incurred when service is given. When is service given? Service is given in 2021. So expense incurred is here. So expense incurred is in 2021. In 1920, amount is paid in advance. Amount paid in advance. Amount is paid in advance. So what is the entry? So when I say somebody to somebody who paid the money, can I say cash is involved? If I'm paying money to somebody, which means cash is going out. So cash account is credit because cash is going out. So what will I debit? What will I debit? What will I debit? So I debit is prepaid salary. Prepaid salary. Prepaid salary because RAM have prepaid the salary. Money is gone out, so credit prepaid salary. So the rule for prepaid is representative personal account. Representative means what? What is the golden rule? Debit the receiver, credit the giver. So can I say prepaid salary means RAM is the receiver of the salary? Can I say RAM prepaid salary account? RAM is prepaidly. Prepaid means what? Paid in advance. RAM prepaid salary account. So can I say RAM is the receiver of cash? So debit the receiver. Debit the receiver. Credit what goes out. Credit what goes out. Right or wrong? Cash is going out. Cash is going out. So credit. So what is debit? Debit is prepaid salary. RAM prepaid salary. RAM is the receiver of the salary. So prepaid. So what is this? Is this my income, expense, asset, liability? What do you feel? Prepaid salary. Is it income, expense, gain, loss, asset, liability? Is it expense? It is not expense. It is not expense. It is not expense. This is asset. Because if in 2021, if RAM is not continuing the job, which means RAM is under obligation to repay the salary back to me. So anything which I expect to receive in future is called asset. So this prepaid salary, don't get carried away with the word salary. You need to understand the prefix behind this. Prepaid salary is asset because if in 2021, RAM is not doing the service, he has to repay the money back. So this 10,000 rupees which I'm paying to RAM now, which I recorded this 10,000 rupees now, this is asset until RAM gives his service. So until that period, it will be asset. Until that period, it will be asset. I know this is little cranky to understand. This I don't even expect you to understand now completely. I'm just giving one rough idea. In final accounts, when I come, I'll be discussing about outstanding prepaid in detail with a lot of examples. I'm just giving you outer idea. I'm just trying to give you outer idea. Any doubt with outstanding expenses and prepaid expenses? Any doubt with outstanding expenses and prepaid expenses? Are you feeling that this is quite difficult to understand? It is little.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is one of the crankiest concept, which is little difficult to digest unless and until you know the background behind this. So whenever I explain, so when I come to final accounts, I'll explain you outstanding expense with proper, story behind it. So each and every item, all these 4 cases will have a lovely story behind this. When I feed that story in your mind, you will, you'll be able to understand the entire concept. You will be able to digest the entire concept very smoothly. I don't want to take that too much information now because this is not the right time to explain this part. So when I come to final accounts, I'll explain in detail. As of now, just remember that anything which is outstanding expense, prepaid, accrued income, and unearned income, the rule that we'll apply is representative personal account. I'm not taking this two now because I think this will be too much of dose as of now. So anything with regard to these 4 cases, tell me it is representative personal account. I'll just tell the meaning alone. I'll tell what is the meaning of accrued income. Accrued income means income earned. Just copy this part. Income earned, but amount not received. Amount not received. Income is earned, but the person is not paid the money. So income is not received. Please note this point. This note this point. This 4 points is very important to remember. What is unearned income? Income unearned means what happened? Income not earned. Income not earned. Income is not earned, but amount is received in advance, which means my income will happen next year only, but this year I have received the amount. So income not earned, but amount is received in advance. So this is also called as income received in advance. Just note down this point which I've written in red and black. Just these meaning alone. Just note down the meaning alone. Probably when we come to the sum, I'll explain you what it is all about. Just note down these points. These are the 4 special cases which you have to remember. Once you're done, let me know. We'll move forward.